Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 12 of What If Naruto Was a Hope of the Uchiha clan. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, stay in tune for the rest of the What Ifs coming your way over on Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. If you're new, yes, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all for helping your support, and yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, Snatty took the army as she made her way towards the front line. The battle was chaotic as they came out in full force. The troops outnumbered them. She had to split with her brother as she gave him a bulk of the army as she made her way. She summoned her slug Katsuya as she made her bring the acid, but the enemy was able to block it as he had to get intertwined. Once the acid came down on them full force, death reigned through the area. Despite everything that was going on, Snatty looked towards the scene, the morbid look on her face. After all, these were people here, as they were dying. No hesitation, they were being burned alive, turned into dust. Despite that though, they did not give up. Even while being burned, they cursed at her. They threw weapons. These people were fighting for what they believe in, but they were losing. They were losing badly. Meanwhile, Madara and his troops, after hearing that Naruto was in the city, and they were literally holding him as hostage, Madara had ran here. Yes, he made them run here. Tajima knew that wasn't a good idea because the weaker ones were already exhausted and now they had to fight. They had 10,000 ninjas with them. But still, that wasn't a good idea for Madara making all of them run here. He was too caring about Naruto sometime. Naruto could defend himself with the 500 until they got here in time. Well, judging from the Senjus, that is what Madara was worrying about. The Senju decided the daimyo, and chaos would ensue on Naruto and his 500. But then, it was that the other troops appeared. The Naras, who never sided with anyone, appear as they were currently with the daimyo. As they were outnumbered, 30,000 ninjas surrounded them and they were marching towards the capital. Madara stood there, but he was not going to go down without a fight, as everyone saw that. It boosted the morale between his men as they saw that they were going to fight to the end. But that all came to a stop when Naruto brought him out. Naruto brought Kurama out in his powerless form. No longer hiding his power, Kurama was the size of a mountain. As he came out with his 9 tails flapping, he shake fear into the hearts of the men. They tried to attack him, but he slaughtered a lot of them with just a single whip of his tail. He started to create a Biju bomb. They dropped their weapons, many of them pissed themselves, as they realized that, well, they were gonna die. But Naruto stopped it as he made his way down, as he spoke to the leader of the Nara. As Naruto was able to find a way to come to peaceful terms with the man, surprising everyone, as the man gave up, despite his men looking like they were about to fight for their life a moment ago. Naruto made him see reason, and the man gave up, as Naruto told him that there would not be any enslavement even after the daimyo fall. As Tajima wanted to know what the hell Naruto used 500 men to take over the city, it made absolutely no sense. Tajima was pissed when he found out. He was angry. He looked like he was about to attack Naruto. Kurama stood there though, as he had shrunk himself down to the size of a horse, ready to rip anyone to pieces that tried to touch Naruto. Even Nero was angry, even Madara was angry. The Uchiha supporters are angry as well, as Naruto had signed a peace treaty between them and the Senjus. They didn't want that. They want the Senjus to burn So this was making them rather pissed off. Kurama decided to reveal that he could talk as he stepped forward. He told them that he was created by the Sage of Six Paths, and he would not just stand there and let them destroy each other, because they would end up wiping out each other. But they did not care about that. Naruto looked towards Madara, the person that always supports him, but Madara walked away. This was even too much for him. He was really angry. As Neri then tried to calm her brother down, and she told the fox that they would talk to the Senju. Tajima couldn't believe what he was hearing, but she gave him a stern look. They will talk to the Senju, but if their terms are not favorable, they will kill them, without or with the fox's help. As Naruto and the others made their way off. So yeah guys, that's basically as we left off. You guys can switch across, please check it out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? Hoshirama was pacing around nervously, with his siblings watching worriedly. They had currently won the capital. Now the city was theirs. Many good men and women died, but the daimyo was now a prisoner along with his wife and daughters. The daimyo's sons decided to fight till their last breath. Hoshirama was too late to stop them from dying. They did not give up though, and they were killed. Hoshirama had watched Naruto release the Biju on the royal army and Nara's. He had dreaded that Naruto would just wipe out all those people like any Uchiha would. But it shocked Hoshirama what Naruto did next, showing him that the boy was different. He made the enemy surrender. He preserved thousands of lives. He made the Uchihas back down. They were even going to talk about peace with the Senjus. That was just shocking. The boy had kept to his word 100%. But right now Hoshirama was worried, not for himself but for Naruto. Hoshirama knew what kind of man Tajima was, and Tajima hated them despite everything. And the other dictators, the other rulers of their clan, was also vicious. And Naruto had brought peace, something that they did not want. They could very well kill the boy for robbing them of their revenge. The only thing that gave Hoshirama hope was Madara. As long as Madara was there, no one lifted a finger against his surviving brother. He was brought out of his thoughts when his door was slammed open. As he narrowed his eyes, he saw the Senju guards outside unconscious on the ground. As his siblings unleashed their weapons, standing there was Madara Uchiha. Hoshirama was happy but also worried. To see his good friend was happy, but the look in his eyes was tense. Without warning, Madara cast a glance towards Nadia and Inuma. "Get out," he said. The two Senjus blinked at the audacity of this man. But Hoshirama saw how tense Madara was, and he might very well resort to violence to make that happen. And Hoshirama could not allow that, and that would just spark something that they did not want. He gestured for them to comply. They grumbled, but they left the room. But Hoshirama knew that they were not far away, ready to come to his aid if Madara turned hostile. "It's good to see you, Madara," Hoshirama said that smile. "Wish I can say the same," said Madara as he deactivated his Sharingan. Madara then turned as he paced across the room. He did not say a word though. This went on for a moment before the man looked at him seriously. "My brother is a good man, Hoshirama," said Madara. Hoshirama nodded a wide smile. "He's the best of your people," praised Hoshirama. That made Madara grimace. "Good men don't survive in this world, Hoshirama. Only the worst do," said Madara sadly. "Not if they have the support of others," Hoshirama said. As that made Madara chuckle a bit, darkly. "Neither of us has changed. We're like ice and fire." As Hoshirama froze at that. The Uchihas were like fire, dangerous and swift, consuming everything. Fierce when it comes towards your loved one, the hatred in your heart unending, the madness great. The Senjus are like ice, long-lasting, enduring, unwavering, calm, but with a fury storm that would brought down destruction under that calmness. The Savior shall be born from joining two ancient clans. Hoshirama still remembered that prophecy from that toad all those years ago. The frog was rather vague and smiled at him when Hoshirama said that he did not understand. The only thing the geezer told him was not to fight fire with fire, but calm fire with ice. Hoshirama did not understand it then, but now. "You once told me there was nothing in this world precious to you. Nothing more precious than your one, only last brother," Hoshirama said. It was then, and it still remained the same, said Madara. Despite this tense situation, Madara still loved Naruto no matter what. "If we fight, your brother's life will be in danger. You may have the Biju on your side, but you know what I'm capable of," Hoshirama said gravely. As Madara chuckled at that. "Now who's being cocky?" said Madara. "I'm serious, Madara," Hoshirama said. For once he was not smiling. I would like to take my chances, said Madara, with a dark grin. Just like fire. I have 3 siblings left, Madara. By the time we're done, you'll have none, said Hoshirama, his voice as cold as ice. Madara's eyes pale, as he saw an image of Tobirama plunging a sword into Naruto's chest. As he watched his brother cough, blood seeping from his throat, Madara ran towards him and caught him in his arms. As he watched the light fade away from his last brother's eyes, as he watched the father, who had 2 children waiting for him, lost everything at that moment. He lost his brother as well. He was brought out of his thoughts as a hand placed on his shoulder. He looked up to see his old friend looking at him with a knowing and sympathetic look in his eyes. I know how you feel, Madara. Our family has torn each other apart for thousands of years, and it will go on until we stop this madness. Don't make peace for me or anyone else. Do it for your brother, Hoshirama said. My people, as already declared me Hokage, Hoshirama. Do you still want peace after that? I admit, it will be difficult to make my people accept peace with you as Hokage, but they will accept it. Why? Said Madara. Because I believe in you, Hoshirama said. Madara was shocked as he looked at Hoshirama, but he didn't see the man in front of him. He saw his friend when they threw stones in the river. He saw himself back then as well. As he lowered his head, what about the leadership of Land of Fire? Who will replace Daimyo, said Madara. What do you mean? Aren't you supposed to lead now that you're named Hokage? Hoshirama said in confusion. Madara sighed. I am not a politician, Hoshirama. I am a ninja. Ask me to defend these lands against enemies and I will do so. But ask me to discuss trade and politics and I'll make a spectacle of myself. I rarely compromise or negotiate. I command, said Madara, and I am too soft-hearted, which will work well in maintaining relationship, but disastrous when it comes to ruling, Hoshirama said. The people love you, Hoshirama. They will accept you as a new daimyo, and I will support you. If you make me become Hokage, I will keep command over the military forces, while you make sure that our land and people prosper. Your father will never agree to this, Hoshirama said. Both of their heads head low. They had to make sure their people see reason. That was the main cause here. There were people on both sides that wanted war and would use any chance they got to start it. Idea popped inside Madara's head. What is it? Hoshirama said, as he saw him smiling. I think I have a solution that will be acceptable to my father, but I will need a lot of help from you. Whatever it takes to make peace, Madara, Hoshirama said. Time skip. The large room that once belonged to the daimyo was currently packed with every major lord of the ninja countries. As Kurama couldn't remember such a time, unless they were here to kill each other, but now they were here to talk about peace. Tajima sat with all of the ninja clans, including Namikaze, Shamura, Aburame, Kurnai, Iwai, Ataki, Yamanaka, and several other minor clans. Together, they made up the largest military alliance in the Elemental Nation. On the left side sat Hoshirama Senju, Tobirama Senju, Inuma Senju, along with their various allies, Sartobis, Inazaka, Akimichi, and many other minor clans. Together, they were the most wealthiest and influential faction in the world. In the center was the Nara head clan member, and Naruto Uchiha. They said boy had decided not to sit with his people because they were angry at him. But he was surprised when Snavy decided to sit with him. That was a surprise. Kurama was at his side though, and the King's Guard was behind him as well. Right now everyone was just shouting. No really progress was going on. Old feuds and rivalry, as clan heads were insulting one another. Snavy was happy to see that her brother Tobirama was released. At first the Uchihas didn't want to because they had more leverage, but it was Neri Uchiha who reminded them that the Senjus were honorable, with their vow of returning Dawn to Naruto. It seems like Neri was also just like Naruto. She wanted peace as well, despite the struggles that she went through in the past. As Naruto placed a hand towards his head, as the people were shouting, he released a massive amount of killing intent that made everyone went quiet. As he got to his feet, my lords and ladies, he said, all of you are missing one important factor. We worked together to overthrow a dynasty that had lasted for a century. We did it because we worked together. And now, rather than kill each other, we can come together and keep on working together, said Naruto. But someone was quick to overthrow what he said. The daimyo is defeated. Our war with the royals are over. And now we have a Biju that you can command to fight for us and defeat the Senjus once and for all. Screw the peace, Tobi Shamira said, as his allies nodded. Bring it on, you prick, Senju said. We have defeated your kind for thousands of years, and we will do it again with Hoshirama and his family. Bitch you or not, we can kick your asses back to the shithole that you came from. Bark Sasuke Sarutobi, earning loud cheers of approval from his side. Everyone went silent when the head Naruto stood up. Despite being enemies from both factions, he was well respected. As he looked towards all of them, neither side will win if you continue to war. Even if some survive on both sides, by then the land of fire will be ruined, and the civilian population will not stand for this. And let me remind you that they outnumber you 500 to 1. I don't know about you, but having civilians in that many numbers constantly trying to kill you, I don't think that we'll be able to survive that. As Tsunade was surprised that the man got the attention from Tajima as well. He was not taking any sides, he was just pointing out the fact. Seeing that his audience was paying a rapt attention, Dan decided to push it even further. Both Uchiha and Senjus have forgotten what the Sage of Six Paths want you to do, but the Naras have not. The Sage taught us ninju so that we could maintain peace across the elemental nation, not to wage war. The Nara has never allied with either because you have never served the well-being of the people. We chose to serve the daimyo because he at least tried to give peace to those who could not voice anything in this conflict of nothing but shinobis killing each other after another. The daimyo may be gone now, but the royal commander and the soldiers in Nara are still bound to protect those people who cannot put their voice in. Neither the Uchiha or the Senju has any right to claim ownership over people that you have never thought about your entire life. But there's one person in this room that remembers the duty that the sage wanted us to do. Tsunade was shocked when she saw not just Dan, but all the former commander for the military army rise and step before Naruto. The one who cared for the life of people that he didn't even know. The one who chose to do the right thing, no matter how hard it was. The one who chose compassion and mercy over brutality. We don't care who he was or what his past was. We don't care what the future holds for us. But he will be our leader until the end of time. The Dragon King, they declared, as Naruto's face turned pale when they unleashed their blades and knelt before him. Shock went through the hall, everyone started to panic. Until Hoshirama got up. I never thought one day there could be a peace between your two factions. Both sides have done inhuman things in the past, yet I took a chance on Naruto Uchiha. I trusted that man with not just my country, but for the future, because I knew that he was a good and honorable man. I gave him the hand of my sister in marriage because I know that he has the courage to do the right thing, even if it meant giving his life. That is the man that should lead us and this country. He is Naruto Uchiha, and he is the one who brought an end to this war. As Hoshirama unleashed his blade, as he emoted the words that will forever be remembered in history, the Dragon King, Tajima and Nyeri, along with their allies, were hardly able to believe those words. Most of all, they never thought Senju would ever kneel in front of a Uchiha and serve their rule. They saw the look in Hoshirama's eyes, it was nothing but pure dedication. They were shocked, surprised, even the Senjus as well and their allies. As the man looked at his son, he had done the impossible. Then, all the civilian army, they were kneeling in front of him. A boy who was destined to be nothing more than a spear ear had made two of the nation and noble clans kneel in front of him. As he could see that you're not kneeling to the Uchiha clan, they're kneeling to him. Tajima always wanted to see the Senjus kneel and accept the Uchiha rightful rule. If they did not, he would exterminate them down to the last man. But yet a boy who had no social backing, no armies, no influential wealth, was able to do the feat that he could only dream of. Most of all, he did it with his pure heart. He didn't remember what he said. I'm your son, father. I'm more like you than you think. You're no son of mine. Nyeri watched as a lone tear slipped from Tajima's eye. Madara then got to his feet, as both brothers glanced at each other. Am I your brother? Madara asked simply. Always, Naruto said. Nyeri gave a tearful smile when Madara unleashed his blade and pointed towards Naruto with pride. My sword is yours, now and always, said Madara, as he kneeled beside Hoshirama. Cram could hardly believe that the dream of his creator was rising once again today. But then Tajima got to his feet. His face was fierce, but in his eyes you could see the warmth and regret. I could never fully believe in you, and I will regret that till the last day. A father is supposed to nurture their son to become great, but yet I fail in that task. And still, you're where you are today because of your own actions, said Tajima. That was a shock. Tajima was a proud man, and for him to admit his mistake in front of all these people, that was beyond shocking. Most of all, his eyes was filled with nothing but regret. As Naruto got to his feet, "It's all in the past, father," he whispered. Tajima nodded in relief, as he looked towards everyone, not just the Uchihas and their allies. As he looked towards Naru, who gave him a tearful nod. As he looked towards the others, he could never really believe in any of these people. They fought for so long, but he could believe and put all of his trust in his son. The future is uncertain for us all. However, the Uchihas shall devote themselves to the well-being of this country as they have for thousands of years now. Tajima pulled his blade, and I will stand behind my son. As he knelt, the three most powerful men, Tajima, Madara, and Hoshirama, yelled in one voice, "Dragon King!" Naruto could only watch in shock as everyone rose up and bowed their heads, pulling their weapons as they yelled, "Dragon King!" As Naruto turned towards Navi, who gave him a smile. She believed in him. As Naruto saw the look in the other's eyes. As he looked towards Kurama, who gave him a smile back, Navi felt happy for Naruto. But as she saw one person in the crowd that had many people around him, his lips were saying the word Dragon King, but his eyes was filled with nothing but bitterness and rage towards Naruto. As she watched as the person repeated Dragon King, but the hatred in his eyes were a lot, followed by supporters that stood around him. Time skip. On top of the tallest tower stood a man in his golden armor. There was a big smile on his face. He had a crown on top of his head. Unlike the dozens that was worn by the daimyo before him, this one had big, square-cut rubies around it. On his back was a white hiyori, black and white, with a red dragon in the center. A few weeks ago, many people didn't know this man, but now the entire world did. His name was Naruto Uchiha, the first dragon, king, the ruler of the land of fire. He smiled when he saw the banner being unfurled on top of the royal castle. He looked down to see thousands of Uchihas and their allies, proud to watch in the moment. Most of them were roaring and cheering, crying, seeing their dream being finally fulfilled in front of their eyes. A dream for which millions of Uchihas have perished for over thousands of years now. He looked at his 5 friends that stood around him with smiles on their faces, as he whispered, "It's finally over." Most of the King's Guard knew that it was far from that, but seeing how happy Naruto was, even the realist Itachi did not say anything. There was one other man that was there as well. "Look at them, Uchihas and Senju standing side by side. It's still hard to believe," said Naruto. "Do you know how to keep it that way, my king?" said Dan Nara, as he looked at Naruto seriously. "By being a better ruler than the one before me," said Naruto. As Dan nodded, "That's good, my king," he said. "But what makes a good leader?" he asked. His eyes were not just fixed on Naruto but his friends as well. "Someone who cares about the people," said Shisui. "A man who rules with iron strength," Takashi said. "Someone who's fair and impartial," said Kagamai. Mikoto nodded as she shared his thoughts, as Naruto heard all of those from his man. That was hard to find in one person, but in him, a wise man. He blinked at Itachi's suggestion. Even Nara looked towards Itachi. "Before he spoke, your grandfather was a man who cared for the people enough to propose peace. But in doing so, he became blind to the reality, and his family was attacked. Kento, Senju, and Tajima Uchiha ruled with an iron fist, and while their people were safe in their reign, they were hated by many men. It was the same with the former daimyo that we overthrew. Hoshirama Senju is a fair man, but he lacked foresight, and he cannot judge the true worth of a person," said Dan, as he saw realization came on Naruto's face. As he stepped towards the edge of the wall, as Naruto approached as well, as thousands of enemies looked up towards them. "You have all the traits to become the wise ruler that this country needs. But you must also take the opinion of the other man. But in the end, you have to do what is right. The war might be over, but the grudges and hostilities will take a long time to subside. Most of them will start to ask you for more lands, more wealth, more resources for their loyalty. How will you deal with it?" asked Dan. As Naruto went silent, it was the first time he realized he had so much power in his hands. But how was he going to use it best? "I need to make these bitter enemies see a common cause to fight for. Our nation is rich and powerful, but there are still pockets of royalists that resist my rule. Maybe I should start putting them down with the help of my bitter man, Naruto. Very good. Choose the one who seems the most tolerant, and keep the most bitter one apart. For example, one of the daimyo's cousin is raising an army to overthrow you in the eastern side. The threat is small, unlike the daimyo's uncle, who has mustered up to 6,000 already. How will you deal with him? Asked Dan seriously. As Naruto looked at the various ninja clan members, Dan and his friends are observing his move. Sasuke Sarutobi is a good and brave leader. Have him muster a force of 8,000 to put down the smaller army. His forces should be made up of Namikaze, Yui, Sarutobi, and Nakamichi warriors. Make sure to keep the Chimera and Inzaka far away from each other, as well as the Sarutobi. As for Daimyo's uncle, have Hoshirama muster up a force of 10,000, made up of Uchiha's, Senjus, Yamanakas, and Hatake. As for the Inazaka and Chimera, have their warriors start scouting on opposite side of the border, alongside the Aburame clan with each. With these many clans allied together, we will run out of resources. We have to expand now. I can unite these bitter sides behind that easily. Hoshirama has also suggests that I build a ninja village where these clans can learn to live together. Madara will use that village under his power as Hokage to control our military. But all of this shall happen only after the wedding, said Naruto. When he looked back towards his friends, he saw they were gaping at him, while Dan was smiling proudly. What? Said Naruto, as he wondered if he made a mistake somewhere. Dan could not help but admire the boy's cunningness and intelligent. From the Uchiha side, the Namikaze and Yui could tolerate to working with the Sarutobi and Nakamichi. On the other hand, having the mighty Senju and Uchiha work together to defeat a powerful enemy would give them a worthy challenge. They liked to take down a worthy foe, so they would work together to put the daimyo's uncle down. At the same time, the Inuzaka and the Chimera, they were one of the most dangerous clans. They were the ones most opposed to this peace. By sending them to the border, Naruto could allow time to set in for the structure of everything to get stronger. And right now they were the most largest in the world, under one banner, and they had to expand. And Naruto thought about that so easily. Well, perhaps he was thinking about it the entire time, but it was just so flawless. But there was one risk though, it could backfire. But it was a risk that he had to take to make sure that peace lasts. Those are very good ideas, my king, but I advise you to give these clans some reward for pledging himself to your rule. What should I do? Said Naruto as he looked towards Dan. Dan had been the daimyo's advisor, and he knew how to rule a country more than anyone else. Start making appointments in your royal court. Give the most powerful clans important positions and new lands, lesser ones wealth, and a chance to earn fame under this new regime. I have a few suggestions if you'll be willing to listen. I would like that very much, said Naruto. Then I'll wait for you in the courtroom. For now, enjoy with your friends, said Dan. As when man was gone, Naruto turned towards his friends. That was quite heavy, said Takashi, jokingly, as everyone laughed except for Itachi. Don't take it lightly, fool. A king must never sit easy, said Itachi. Calm down, Itachi, everything will work out, said Kagami. Just give it time. Yeah, stop being a pain in the ass, Itachi, said Takashi. As Naruto was happy to see his friends bickering with each other, until Mikoto told him that she wanted to talk to Naruto alone privately. As Takashi narrowed his eyes at that. But his sister gave him a stern look, and they left, leaving the both of them up there alone. She gave him a warm smile, as that made him feel relief as she stepped beside him. I hope you're okay with all of this, she said honestly. It's crazy, but it needs to be done. But as long as I have you guys and my family with me, I'll make it work. I know you will. Mikoto, you're a good man, Naruto, she said, as she cut him off. And a great friend to have. But the distance between your status and society is too large now. Most of all, every clan will be watching your every move. And there will be a few that want to overthrow you. And they might use any means to do that, Mikoto warned. Then we'll deal with it together, said Naruto. But her smile faltered at that. I'm afraid you don't understand, I'm your past. Most might not understand what we shared. But if I stay together with you, they might just find the truth and use it against you, she said. But we ended it, said Naruto. He was getting a bit angry. Why was she saying such things to him? The way she was phrasing her questions, the way she spoke to him, it was like she was going away. And after having her at his side for so long, he couldn't lose her. She was a dear friend before. She was someone that he actually loved. She was one of his best friends. I cannot be near you, Naruto, she said. I see the way Tsunade look at me. I know that she know about our former relationship. She may trust you in time, but not if she see my shadow following your own every day. What are you saying? Said Naruto hesitantly. I'm leaving the king's guard. She felt like she was being stabbed into the heart when she saw. His eyes became moist. Before they were changed to rage, then hurt, then betrayal. He grabbed her shoulders. "You can't leave me," he said. "I don't care. If I am king or if someone tried to use our past against me, you're my friend and anyone tried to harm you, I'll burn them all," he said. She was stunned by his rage, but it brought tears in her eyes. Despite ending their relationship for the greater good, he still had love for her. Well, she still loved him same way. "You don't understand." "Then make me understand," he shouted. She roughly pushed him away and turned to run, but he grabbed her arm. As she tried to get away, but he pulled her close. And she saw the pleading look in his eyes, and she broke as she started to cry even more. "I let you go for the sake of our duty. Now you have to let me go because I cannot stand and watch you be with someone else for the rest of our life. I might just kill Snaddy one day in rage," she said. I can't," said Naruto. "I have to. You chose your path. Now please, let me choose mine." She saw his broken gaze and his trembling lips. She hated doing this, but she could not stand to see everything destroyed because of her. Most of all, she might end up killing the Senju princess if she made Naruto feel sad in any matter. This wasn't what they wanted, but it's what they got. "Let me go," she said. As his hand dropped and he walked, she saw the anger. As she leaned up against the wall, taking deep breaths, calming herself. This had to be done. When Naruto entered the courtroom, Dan and the others saw it, the icy feeling that was coming out of him. He greeted them, but he was not calm as he made his way towards the seat and sat down. Snevy narrowed her eyes. In a couple of days, she would have her own seat beside him. But that wasn't what she was worried about at the moment. Something was hurting him. But yet his eyes was filled with nothing but determination. "I have called you all here to formally acknowledge the support that you have all given for the future of this country. You have given me your loyalty, and I want to make sure that such fate is rewarded appropriately," said Naruto. "There's no need for that, my king. We did it for the good of this country," the leader of the Akamichi said. Naruto nodded as he looked at the man for in his seat. Despite his good words, he knew there was some good in honorable man, but some of them were deceitful. "I insist," Naruto said firmly. He saw that his decision was very much welcome. Some of them remained impassive, though pretending like they did not need his gifts, but their body language betrayed those looks. Dan was right. Maintaining peace between them was going to be more difficult than ruling over the civilians. But if they thought that he was weak and gullible, they really didn't know him. He then created the first post of the Guardian. This will have second control under the king. He will be the right-hand man of the king, with power just below the king. Everyone, all of them were shocked at hearing that proposal, that role. Most of them wanted it, but they were all shocked. As Naruto handed over to Dan Nara, most thought that he would name his father Hoshirama, but he gave this to a former enemy. Dan was quick to accept before any protest could arrive. Well, not that there was a chance of any arriving, because Kurama was there sleeping over to the side. By now everyone was aware that the beast was loyal to the king, and if they tried anything they would fear his wrath. Naruto then went forth to name Madara as the first Hokage, and gave him leadership over the kingdom forces. The offer was swiftly accepted. Hoshirama Senju was named as a royal treasurer. He was a force in the battlefield, but it was his nature that pushed the Senjus to become so wealthy. When it comes towards trade agreements, yes, the man was influential and smart. A skill Naruto put to use for the entire kingdom, and the Senju faction was happy about that. Sasuke Sarutobi was given command of a royal naval fleet. Tobi Shimura was tasked to develop an elite ninja black ops, only loyal to the king, with Shimura named as the first commander. The Shimura clan knew the art of spying and assassinations more than most clans, so that would ensure that the king was safe as well. Because under the Uchiha they were the most ruthless. Tajima received the order to keep law and order across the kingdom. He was a stickler for rules and discipline, a fact that will keep the civilians in check. He accepted it with a smile when he was given the force to form an entire police force to help him with it. Tori Yamanaka, the now leader of Yamanaka clan, was named Master of Intelligence. Arya Namikaze was now the leader of the first airborne troops of the kingdom by commanding any shinobi that had a bird summon placed under her command. Nkrumah Akimichi was given the prestigious post of being the king representative across merchant guilds. Hero Inzakan Shin Aburame was given the task of developing a new scouting legion that will be made up of the best trackers. Both of them will share command. Sakumo Hatake was made protector of the capital and tasked with skirting. The remaining smaller clans like the Kurama and the UI was given more land and wealth, and also a chance to join the royal guard and be the king personal force that will be the first step on the battlefield. The minor clans did not expect to get so much as they jumped to the offer. Naruto also made the announcement a new village will be created near the southern edge of the forest. The name was yet to be decided, but it was clear. It will serve as the central force of the commanding forces and be the Hokage personal seat. He also made his plan to crush the remaining daimyo loyalists and reveal his battle strategy that he made up with Danora. The clan quickly accepted that because despite their differences, they didn't want a civilian rule again. But the most shocking was if at last, the first being a royal marriage that will be in a week between King Naruto and Princess Nevi. As Naruto's adamant that this marriage had happened because when it was done, could he achieve his most important task, the War of Conquest. Naruto wasn't going to rule Land of Fire, no. He was going to take the entire elemental nation. It was not to say that you were against the move because you were shinobis and war was their profession. And the king decision will give them more power, more dynasty, and they will rule, just like the Hagoromo clan did in the past, rule the entire elemental nation. The words of King Naruto will forever be remembered throughout history. From this day forward, the dragons shall rule the world. Timeskip. Snelly brushed her long blonde hair. Nights were really cold in the capital as she was looking in the mirror, her mind going over what happened today. Just when she thought that she knew Naruto Uchiha, he once again surprised her with his brilliance. But he hurt her in the same time, as she could see that he would be a great king, perhaps the best in history. But he carried everything on his shoulders. All of his burden he carried in silence. Many admire him. Even his former enemies come to admire him. How could she ever match up something like that? Was she destined to be his shadow? Just the obligation that he was tolerating because of his duty. Before she could wallow more in her sadness, the door of her room was open. Much to her surprise, her guards always inform her of her visitors, and she gave them permission to let them in. Not to mention it was past midnight. "What are you doing here so late?" she asked. As she looked towards the king, she noticed the bags under his eyes, and how tired he looked. Were you still working?" she asked, in shock. "Too many things to take care of," he said, as he listed out a few in his calming voice. "You didn't have to exhaust yourself like this," she said. "A king doesn't have to do everything in one day." She got up from her table and walked towards him. She saw the guilt in his eyes when he turned his head, given the fact that she was just wearing a nightgown and her chest could be seen on more full display. But she saw guilt in his eyes. "What is it?" she asked. "I'm sorry," he said. She was confused. She expected to hear many things, but the apology was not on the list right now. What exactly was he sorry for? "I promised that I would treat you as my equal, as my queen, but in my haste and my anger, I forgot to take your opinion on the matters that I discussed today. I saw it hurt you, but by then it was too late, and it was in public. I will never let it happen again," he promised. Snelly was shaking to hear that. You notice?" "I did. I take my promises seriously. I will never let it happen again," he said. The smile that arrived on her face was one of the most beautiful things that he ever saw before. Her eyes sparkled with relief and nothing but warmth. He was so lost in her beauty that he did not prepare when she moved and hugged him. He lost his footing as he tumbled down to the floor. Fortunately, he was still wearing his armor. As he turned her, as he dropped on his back, protecting her from falling hard. Her long blonde shiny hair went all over his face, and he thought that morning had arrived. She realized quickly what just happened and she started to apologize over and over. But instead of saying anything rebuking, he started to laugh. As he burst out laughing, she was mesmerized as he watched the tension vanishing from his face, making him look more young than he ever looked. Her own action joined with his, as she started to laugh as well. But he stopped as he looked at her. "You're beautiful," he said. She paused. It was not the first time hearing those words, but when he said it made her heart skip a beat. There was not lust in his eyes, there was warmth. "You're not so bad yourself for an Uchiha," she teased. As he smiled to her sarcasm, she got up to her feet. For a moment there she thought she saw him sigh in disappointment. She decided to test what he said a moment ago by offering her hand. Most men would not take the gesture because of their pride. He took her hand and she pulled him back to his feet. He blinked at her strength. She pulled him up so quickly with one hand. "Are you made of steel?" he mocked. "Well, I can be your knight in shining armor, And I'm more attractive than your bodyguard friends. Kake Ari, said Naruto. She simply shrugged. I learned from the best. He had spent the entire day thinking about Mikato going off. She had made her a choice, and that was not something that he could change. But if he spent his entire time focused on the past, this would be a result of every day with him just coming late. And he decided to look towards the future, because he would miss everything if he just focused on the past. As he looked towards Natty, he was not in love with her right now, but there was something, and he could feel it from her as well. So, he should not deny the chance. Thank you, he said. I just hope that one day you can share everything with me. Just as I'd like to do the same with you, she said. Guilt run through his heart, as he had one big secret that he did not tell her. He wanted to yet, but something stopped him. I need your opinion on an important matter, he said, trying to take his mind off of his guilt. What is it, she asked. The daimyo's sons are dead, but the lord is still being captive, and his wife and his daughter as prisoners. Their relative will soon be crushed, but the others want them to be executed to stop any future rebellion or threats. I can agree with that for daimyo's case, but you don't want to kill an innocent woman and her children. She was glad that he wasn't as heartless as those people that were advising him. I cannot think of a proper solution that doesn't involve executing them, he said. Give me till tomorrow morning to think about this, she said. Very well, he said. He glanced at the candles in her room that were diminishing. It was late, it was time for him to go. He was about to turn away, but he stopped. Hesitation coursed through his heart. But he moved on with it. Snavy froze when his soft lips touched her cheek. Before she could relish fully in the warmth, he pulled away, leaving her trembling. Good night, he said. She was too frozen to say anything. Only when he was gone, as she touched her cheek, with a smile on her face, she went to sleep happily that night. Meanwhile, in a dark room, 4 figures sat around a table. 3 of them were a man, but 1 of them were a woman. They had one thing in common, none of them were smiling. In fact, their faces were full of worry and anger. This is stupid. How long do we have to pretend to bow to that boy king? One of the men spoke as his face was the most angriest. That boy is not worthy to be king, as they had forgotten that he's a king slayer, or the fact that he butchered our entire clan, burned man and woman alive. The female said icily, I can muster a force of 4,000, but without help we will be slaughtered. What is the other clan saying? The 3 of them turned towards the only person that was silent till now. Not good. It would seem they, like Lord Hoshrama, are blind enough to have faith in that Uchiha, the man said. You have to admit he did give everyone rewards for their loyalty. I'm not surprised that most of the clan heads cannot see that we cannot allow those mad dragons to rule over us. This boy might be sane, but what about his descendants? Who said that they would be sane? One of the men asked worriedly. Even many of my own people are liking this change. If we don't act soon, we might lose whatever loyalty we have. The 3 were all silent, and the patient man gave them a chilling stare. Patience. We need to destroy the daimyo remaining forces out there. Uchiha will never rule over us, but that doesn't mean I want to be ruled and forced to be submitted to a civilian again. Certainly not after what daimyo did, the patient man said coldly. While we do that, you all must try to gather as many of your loyalists. I have also been contacted by several parties that want to make sure that Mad Dragon will never rule. Who? The woman asked. The man gave her a blank stare, as she lowered her head not to ask a stupid question. How much support can they give us? The other man asked in the room. Enough to wipe out every last Uchiha from the face of this world. The 3 of them were shocked by that. They all might hate the Uchiha, but they knew their power. Despite without the Sharingan, they were powerful and deadly. Only the Senjus could handle them, considering that the Senjus had bowed down to them as well. And with Naruto and Madara, and not to mention that Biju, but their leader was dead serious. That meant whoever he was getting aid from had a lot of people backing them, foreign allies who were very interested in the downfall of the Uchiha. The patient man got up as he walked towards the window, as he looked towards the Uchihas that were guarding the castle. The Uchiha madness, their arrogance, they know no bounds. If we allow them to rule, our future generation will curse us for this fault. But wait for my command. When the time is right, I will give the signal, and they will fall, one after another. His comrades nodded and went away, as the lone man stared at the Uchihas walking. But guys, I'll be in subscribe right here. If you want the next person, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notifications they posted. Remember to share all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, stay tuned for the remaining what ifs coming your way over in Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. And remember, if anyone this is the first time you hear my voice, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. And yes, you're right guys, I indeed have 3 channels, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button, become a part of the Anime King family, and yeah, I'm out for now. See you guys very soon. Peace out.